Well, we want to take some time for your questions and give you some honest answers. Gordon, this first one comes from Joy, who says, I know God instructs us to not be unequally yoked, but I'm often confused as to what that means exactly when it comes down to different denominations within the Christian faith. I've gone out with a guy a few times. He's a practicing Catholic, and I'm a non-denominational Christian. Is this okay for us to date, or should I put a stop to it before anything serious develops? I just want to do what is right by the Lord. I certainly don't want to start out on a bad foundation, but I don't want to be legalistic either.
Well, Joy, I'll tell you the story of my parents. My mother was a Catholic and a Republican from Ohio. My father was a Southern Baptist and a Democrat from Virginia, and they got married. And so, okay, are they equally yoked? Some days they are. At the end of the day, my mother became a Baptist and my father became a Republican.
That's called compromise, right?
So they compromised. You know, you can find compromise. When Paul wrote this, he wrote this before denominations. He was talking about being yoked with unbelievers. So as long as you believe in Jesus, let us renew that. That means we're one in Christ. We're neither Baptist or Methodist or Catholic or whatever. We're one in Christ, and let's recognize we're all believers in this together.
Okay, here's a viewer who says, my husband has renewed an old friendship with his late stepbrother's ex-wife. I'm fine with them keeping in touch, but last week they began texting many times after he's home from work. I usually am not a jealous person, but this is making me very uncomfortable. I voiced my concern, but he continues. I explained that it's inappropriate at this level, and this is my time when he's home. Once or twice a week is okay, but this has fallen on deaf ears. I'm not sure what to do now. P.S. I was saved watching the 700 Club.
Well, Terry, I'm going to flip this one back on you. What would you tell her to do?
I would tell her that you need to have a come to Jesus moment with your husband. Yeah. Well, you know, let me say this to husbands and wives in general, because I think sometimes something can be innocent and maybe would even stay innocent. But if your spouse is troubled by it and if it's impacting your relationship with your husband or your wife, then you need to curtail it. I mean, to me, that's just the end of the story. There's no reason he has to have this friendship. Yeah. I mean, obviously, he didn't have it for a long time. So
well, it sounds to me like he's playing with fire. But,
I agree.
It's okay to set boundaries, and that's a boundary. Yeah. And set the boundary and say, you're home now. That means you're with me. Yeah. Put the phone down. It can wait. You can text later.
What do you do, though, when sounds like she said that and it's fallen on deaf ears?
You can always escalate. You can take your conversation to her.
Well, that's true. I kind of like that.
You like that?
I kind of like that, yeah. Right. Well, also, I think it can bring you to conversation where you agree together upon some boundaries. You know, sometimes in relationships after you've been married a while, you don't have that kind of communication. It's not really solid and good, but it's a good place to start off getting back to that. So that'd be my take on it.
Okay.
Okay. Here's a viewer who says, Hebrews 8:1-7 says that the Old Testament tabernacle is a shadow or copy of the true tabernacle in heaven. Does this mean that God is Jewish? If he is, what does that mean for non-Jews?
Well, boy, I got less than 50 seconds to answer that question.
There you go.
But here we go. What it means is you're Jewish. You get grafted in. We're the wild olives that get grafted into the true olive. God showed the Jewish people things in heaven and asked them to make representations of them on earth. And that was the tabernacle in the wilderness and Solomon's temple. But those are just examples of what we are. We are the temple of God. And he's showing us what we truly are and the mirror we are of him. So is God Jewish? Well, he certainly loves them. What he wants is for us to be grafted into them as well.